Hello, good morning. Jason Schnellbacher here. I'm with the technology innovation team at T-Mobile, and I'm one of our experts in streaming video over 5G networks, and wanted to give you a talk today, tell you a little bit about what we've been doing as it relates to our 5G network and video production. And everything started here with me in video production 4 years ago, shortly after the merger with T-Mobile and Sprint. Our marketing department wanted to showcase 5G in cool, real, tangible ways and challenged our technology group to come up with ways to showcase 5G. And we were doing that with our major marketing sponsorships, like Major League Baseball and other properties. And one of the things that kept rising to the top was video production over 5G. And so we started to get into that. That was new really for me at the time. And we started doing all kinds of things over the last 4 years. We made custom cameras embedded into the catcher mask at Major League Baseball that was put in live broadcast with ESPN for the Home Run Derby. We've done 360 cameras that live stream into virtual reality that were streamed over T-Mobile 5G. We've done all kinds of drone things with streaming video over 5G. And we've learned a lot over the years about what works and what doesn't work. And I wanted to take you through some of those lessons that we've learned and some of those best practices in case it might be helpful for you in anything you're trying to do with 5G and video. Okay, so the first thing that we learned is that we need to plan ahead. You can't just show up and expect it to work anywhere. We have to have a special network condition sometimes to be able to support the video production. And so we have a concept of site eligibility where we look at where it is we're trying to do the project, what kind of environment do we have in our network, and we make sure that we select the I need to switch the slides. We need to select the sites and realize where we can do this and where we can't do that. So we have some tools that we use internally within the engineering department, but we also will have these kind of capabilities available to our customers. So anybody that is with T-Mobile for Business customer, they have an account team, they have a solutions engineer that can do site eligibility checks and provide this kind of input to customers that are interested in doing the same thing. But that's a really important thing. The other thing that we learned was around the importance of using new 5G modules that have specific capabilities. So 5G, the first modules that came out were called X55-based chipsets, and those came out in 2020, and those were running mostly non-standalone. And then we have some newer modules that are coming out that we've been using recently that are based on Qualcomm X62-based chipsets that can support uplink, transmit, MIMO, which is really important thing. So in video production, we're doing transmit uplink, right? And so if we can transmit on two antennas, we can almost double the performance that we get from a single antenna. Incredibly important. Some of the 5G modules do that, and some don't. And so this really helped derive which ones we selected, and is a really important thing. Okay, and then the other thing was about the ability to do standalone. At T-Mobile, we're one of the leaders in 5G, and we have standalone 5G deployed nationwide. Okay, and so we want to be able to use that because we can have special benefits associated with using standalone 5G. We can do lower latency, we have the high throughput, but we can also do advanced things like network slicing is a good example. Okay, and so that's all goes back to the 5G module, right? And which module and what kind of device we're going to use is really important. And then the next thing we learned is that we can do video streaming with one connection, but it's always more reliable to have more than one connection. Many people in video production know about bonded cellular and the reasons why bonded cellular is needed. And we learned those lessons ourselves firsthand by doing our testing. And when we can do the bonding, we've been seeing really great performance. So we have multiple 5G frequencies. Some people think 5G is just kind of one thing, but it actually runs on multiple frequencies. At T-Mobile, we actually have 5 frequencies that we use, not all of them at the same time, but in most places we have 3 or more of those 5G frequencies deployed. And so if we can do frequency locking on our 5G modules, we can use 2 different frequencies in the uplink direction, which gives us an aggregated combined throughput of both, right? So it's a lot like uplink carrier aggregation, which isn't available yet. Will be coming soon, but this gives us the ability to use both our mid-band frequencies for 5G, which at T-Mobile is 1900 megahertz, and 2500 megahertz. We call N25 and N41. And so if we put one on one channel and the other one on another channel and combine it, we've seen incredible performance. In some of our recent examples, we've seen over 200 megabits per second uplink without a crowd. Mind you, right? We recently did a project at the Super Bowl where it was really just some testing, but we were hitting 190 megabits per second uplink, using the Peplink, 5G routers. They're actually right over there, the same Peplink ones that we use. And, we connected that into a live view. So a lot of people in broadcast industry have bonded encoders, LiveView, TVU, Dejero. There's several out there. But even non-cellular encoders, like Haivision, Makitos, or Videon encoders, lots of different types can be plugged into one of these 5G routers that can do the bonding. And we've been seeing really great performance with that. And so that's kind of the key pieces of the recipe, to get started, right? Getting all the right ingredients together. And then from there, we need to plan ahead, and make sure that we have the type of network solutions that we want. We call that advanced network solutions, which is kind of like custom, network engineering kind of capabilities. This is a product offering from T-Mobile for Business. And I'm in the technology group, and I support T-Mobile for Business in the development of these capabilities. And one of the things that we learned is streaming video in large crowd events with thousands and tens of thousands of people is really hard. To try to stream the video with all these other users and their iPhones, it is not easy. Okay. And so we need to have special solutions to be able to overcome that. And what we've come up with is the concept of a portable private network where we can actually have dedicated capacity for an event for a customer that's not shared by the rest of the other public users, right? And so this is important. And we actually have this on demo in the Sony booth over in the Central Hall. If you're interested, we have a millimeter wave 5G private network that is just being used for the video production exclusively. Nobody's phone goes on that network. And so that's a cool example. If you get a chance, recommend you go over to the Sony booth and check it out. The other thing that we were doing is network slicing. Okay, and this is in an early kind of technology validation stage. It's not a commercial product that we're offering right now, but it gives us the ability to prioritize the video over other types of traffic. And as long as we do that in a way where we add supplemental capacity when we need it, and we don't negatively impact the other users and their experiences, then we've proven that this works. We've done this several times in the real world to validate that this actually does work. And we're in the process of we have teams across the country that are working to make that a commercial product in the future. But right now, it's just a technical capability, and it's a really important way to be able to do the video production. In fact, we actually have this here. We have a private meeting space at the T-Mobile room over here, and we have a network slicing demo set up right now where we're running slicing inside this big convention center with thousands of people, and we're able to maintain a steady 10 megabit per second uplink video stream without impacting the other users. So we have a team of network engineers that are monitoring the network performance and making sure that we're not negatively impacting any of the other users at the same time we're doing this. And this is an incredibly important capability that's really only made possible by standalone 5G. But it only has limits to what we can do, right? So, this works nicely for 1 or 2 cameras, but when somebody needs to have lots of cameras, it doesn't work so well, right? It's more than really what we can do, and it would have too many negative impacts with the other users. So it's limited is part of the key message I want people to understand about network slicing. And if there's need to do more, like I need more cameras, I want to do ultra HD, things like this is where we would recommend the private network, because that's really what it's for. Because then we're not sharing capacity. We have its own dedicated capacity with a private network. But that's all under the umbrella of advanced network solutions for T-Mobile for Business. Okay, the next thing that's really important is professional installation. Really what I mean by this is that there's good places to put antennas and not good places to put antennas, okay? And I like to joke that, behind two walls and in a closet is not a good place. Up high and out of the way, not close to other metal and other things are much better. So if you have high gain antennas, it's kind of like having bigger ears to hear. You're right. The performance of the 5G is directly related to the signal strength and the signal quality. And so with good antennas is important. We can do it with smaller antennas and inside smaller devices as well. But it all kind of comes down to how far we need to transmit, right? If the radio is really close, smaller devices are fine. But if we need to go anywhere further away, the bigger high gain antennas are incredibly important in professional installation of those. And so like some examples, we like to put those on top of the trailers, like a broadcast trailer. We can put the antenna on top, right? So that's like an example where we might want to put it in a good place. Okay, so then when we put all this together, key message we want to share here at NAB is that this network is capable of doing 5G video production and is really available now. A lot of these capabilities that we're talking about aren't some future thing. They're really available now. We're doing them, and we're inviting customers or somebody interested in being a customer to come and try it out. Where we've been testing some of these together with customers, helping them to feel confident in these solutions. That's the key message is that we're ready to do some of this now. The bonding products, for example, I mentioned PepLink, TVU Networks is another good example that's supporting standalone 5G, and we can do incredible things. We did a project here in Las Vegas for the Formula One. We did a video production. We put a 12K camera on a moving vehicle that drove the track and did a capture of that track. And we produced effectively the equivalent of a full-length feature film, 16 minutes of visual effects and everything. And we did all of that over 5G. It was really close, actually. It was a parking lot next to the Bagel Mania. There's a site on top of the indoor skydiving. It's just right over here. It brings back good memories. But we used a TVU TM1100 with 6 5G modules in it. We didn't use all 6 modules, but we hit 340 megabits per second uplink with that. And we're able to send terabyte type files in very short transfer time. So it's just kind of a good proof point. The bonding is really important. I mentioned that one earlier where, 2 connections together, we can hit incredible speeds. And so I like to say the higher the peak before the crowd, the more room we have to come down. So if we're trying to maintain a 6 megabit per second video stream, for example, if we start at 190 megabits per second uplink, we actually have a long ways to go down to still be able to maintain the 6. Right. And so we always try to look for going for the maximum performance, and all of those things are available now. Only the slicing is kind of something that's still a little bit, in the process of being productized. Right. But that's kind of my main message. I wanted to kind of pause and see if there's any questions from the crowd. Anybody have interest in 5G and video production? Please raise your hand. We're going to be passing around microphones to see if there are any questions from the group.
I might have missed it, but did you talk about band 25, like N25, N41, N71, and the difference between like aggregating them separately for performance? I might have missed that at the beginning.
Yeah, I hit that a little bit, but I'll hit it for you. Again, is that we have 5 different frequencies at T-Mobile. 2 of those are what we call mid-band 5G that are more commonly available. Our low band is called N71 or 600 megahertz. And so we generally have those 3 most places. We have some millimeter wave select locations like here inside the Las Vegas Convention Center. Inside big arenas, we'll have millimeter wave. And then we recently have our C-band licenses, and so we're starting to deploy that. But those are the 5 frequencies, right? And so, but the mid-band ones that are more widely available are the N25, which is 1900 megahertz, and the N41, which is 2500 megahertz. And so we like to be able to use both of those and bond them together. So if you're doing bonding of 2 5G modules, the performance you get if they're on the same frequency isn't really much benefit. Right? The big benefit comes from having to be on 2 separate channels or sectors, right? And so putting those together is what really gives us those big uplink speeds. You're welcome.
Okay, John, my question is around the portable private networks that you spoke, and you began the presentation with starting with site eligibility analysis, right? These 2 points, I mean, are you leveraging CBRS for your portable private networks? And if that is there and you have those portable networks, then why do we need that site eligibility at all to be done?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, the site eligibility thing was really mostly about macro network, but it does have apply to private networks as well. In particular, we need to know if we're already using certain frequencies within a given area, right? So millimeter wave is pretty easy. We have a lot of licenses for that across the country, and it's not widely deployed. So it's perfect for private networks, right? But we do need to make sure that we do have the license there, and it's not already in use close by, right? And so that's how it applies there. To your question about the CBRS, the short answer to that is no. We know that's a popular thing, and that is going to be used by industry, including media and entertainment. But it's a shared frequency. And at T-Mobile, we kind of have the luxury of having quite a bit of licensed spectrum, in which case we don't need that. Right. So with private networks, in particular millimeter wave networks, we can do tremendously higher capacity than what CBRS can do. I'll give you a good example, right? A lot of CBRS networks are 40 megahertz because you got to share with other people, if you can even get that much. And then it's a frame config 2, which is 80% downlink, 20% uplink. And so the amount of uplink that you get on CBRS is pretty limited. You can get a few cameras, but you're not going to get a lot more. Contrast that with millimeter wave. Okay, now it doesn't have the same propagation characteristics. You're not going to cover quite as big of an area, at least with one cell, but we can hit tremendously higher speeds. So to give you a good example, we're consistently hitting 500 megabits per second uplink. 500. Think about how many ultra HD cameras you can run with that kind of speed, right? I see the guys that run the audio visual here going, man, I could really do a lot with 500 megabits per second. And that's what we have on display at the Sony booth, actually. And so short answer is we're not doing much with CBRS. We are aware of that. In fact, I would say that we're going to probably position our private network capabilities really to the group that has found that CBRS isn't meeting their needs, to be honest with you, because we know there's limits there. And, if people can fit within the limits, CBRS is a fine solution. But if they need something more, that's where we feel like we can fill that need. And we can also do private networks with C-band. So we have 40 megahertz of C-band, again, not shared. No spectrum database, no wondering if I'm going to get my license tomorrow when I need it, or any of those kind of things. And so that's kind of how we think about it. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. Any other questions? Don't be shy. Oh, we have one here.
So you mentioned the network slicing demo. Where can that be found?
Yeah, come see me after this, or some of my team here with T-Mobile for Business. We just have it in a private meeting room back here. So, it's, we're not really kind of at the point where we're ready to make that a commercial offering. So we don't have a booth where it's just on public display. But we are showing interested parties that would like to see that. And we can, show you exactly what we're doing in the uplink direction, which devices, and then also in the downlink direction. It's actually end-to-end 5G, so it's uplink and downlink both over 5G, averaging around 500 milliseconds latency right now, so half a second. So yeah, see me after this, and the team we can show you. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, we'll give it another chance. Last call for questions. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. Hopefully it was interesting for you. If you're interested in video production over 5G, come see us. We have a lot of experience with this, and, it's something that we would love to be able to share with more people. It can really make a difference in some workflows. And so, yeah, come see us at T-Mobile for Business. Thank you.